Hey, this is FF episode 1444, 1444-144-Fo. Back in a week.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Back in a week. Woo! A week and 2 days. Hi, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont, getting ready for my vacay. We have today's show with Madame Rutabaga, Valentino, and Bison Bentley, plus the interesting news segment, Ain't Life Grand? A couple of not-so-grand things in there, but we'll get to some grand stuff. And now I sing a song.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
No, wait. Okay, maybe I'll sing it now.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I had a chat with a bot yesterday, a Google bot. It was interesting, and it said,
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
It said, hey, it was helping me out with something I was trying to figure out with the podcasting thing on the Google phone, the Google Play. Why it wasn't working?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Why it wasn't updating podcasts for me? Do you know what the solution was? Delete Google Play,
Mike's
the app, and
Daily
put it back on.
Shall we play a game?
Yeah!
That's a good question. I'm not into playing games on my phone. I'm not, unless it's through my Cricket Rewards app, because I have a Cricket phone, and I will use that to get points, which I can then use to, like, I got a $5 gift certificate to Walmart one day, which I used to help buy an oil thing. And did I tell you I changed my oil the other day? I did that.
All right.
Because I'm a manly man. I'm sure a woman can do it too. I think anyone can change their oil. It's so simple. With my car, it's so high off the ground, I don't need lifts, so I can just squeeze underneath there. Hey, a couple people walked in just now. Hello, Michael Matthew, it's Madame Rutabaga. Changing our oil is so sexy. Ooh. You think so? Yeah. Are you laughing at me? No, I think that's cool. No, I think that's wonderful. You think that's cool. When people do a job, a hard work, you like that. Yeah. That's great. I'm going to cast a spell on you. Okay, what did the spell do? It made you stop talking to me. It did. I stopped talking to you. Look who else walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the banking attendant.
Which is a very good thing. Which is a very, very good
podcast picture.
Trump stepped on Ariel. How dare he do that? Ariel's podcast picture moment. Who else is here? It's Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Okay, good. Hey, guys, the podcast picture, I decided the last picture before I went on my trip, I would post a podcast picture of Daytona Beach. Actually, a beautiful spot near the Tomoka River. And it's, I think, the River Creek Grill is where I took this picture, and I'm going to take my mom, and hopefully her boyfriend Mike will be out of the hospital by then, and we can go. He's 85. And he's doing well, but not so well lately. So I'm hoping he's recovering okay. But we're going to go and have dinner, I think. But it is a beautiful spot, and there's the beautiful river there, and you can see that picture in a nice sunset at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Where we are in Daytona Beach, the sun sets opposite what I'm used to growing up in California. It sets in the west, where the west has no ocean. The ocean's on the east side, right? East side. So we have to look to see any sun over the ocean horizon. You got to wake up early in the morning in Daytona Beach, which is something I do a lot. So I might do that. But yeah, beautiful sunset. Well, actually, the sunset over the Tomoka River. So it was kind of like sun setting over water in this picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, where you can also go and help out the show through the Amazon link. Click on that Amazon link and buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out. There's also a PayPal. If you'd like to help us out that way, you'll get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters. And you'll become an Inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster. And all the past podcast pictures, past shows, all there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Sorry, I still have not organized the interviews. I got A through L, and I got interviews 2011 through 2017, so take your pick. They're all people you've never heard of, except for Saint Motel. I interviewed them once upon a time, but nobody knew them at the time. And I interviewed some country artists that got popular, like Blake Shelton and Keith Urban, but you can find all that at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. So my Googlebot chat was fascinating because I was just getting fed up with the fact that I was not getting updated podcasts in my podcast feed. I like to listen to shows like To The Point and The Economist. Yeah, I listen to The Economist. They have a great show on there called Babbage, where you hear about all the latest new technology and what they're doing in science. I believe in science. And I asked this Google bot, I think her name was Nikki. I don't know. You can't. That was one of the interesting things. I could not get a transcription of our chat. I go, can I get a transcription of this? And she said, no, it's saved in your account. I go, well, can I access it in my account? And she says, no, it's in your account though. Okay, that's scary. That's Equifax scary, and it's a little kooky. Do I have a hand free to click this? Kooky. Thank you. So she said basically to turn off the phone and bring it back. Hey, you know what? Oh, no, wait. She said delete the app for Google Play and then reinstall it. And sure enough, she was right. It worked. Okay, then I asked her, because the Google phone, I'm a big fan of Androids and Google, Samsung and Google Android and all that stuff. And I ranted last time about how Apple makes it so darn difficult. You've got one way to do things. They try and make it easy, but sometimes I want to do it my way, and they go, no, there's our way, and you can't do it your way. And then I start singing that wonderful Frank Sinatra song, and they say stop. But the Google bot chat thing, I asked it, hey, when I'm doing they have this Google voice to text thing where you don't have to type with your fingers. You can just swing down on this page and do this and go up and then click this and whatever. Not the easiest thing to access, I will admit, but you can talk into your phone and it will type for you. And yes, I'm sure Apple has the same thing. Well, the Google app for that, or the function for that, I don't know what you say to make it a paragraph. It's basically my question. I know how to get like a smiley face emoji to tell it you just say smiley face emoji and it prints one. You say period and it prints a period, or exclamation point and it's got an exclamation point. But if you say paragraph, it just prints the word paragraph. So Googlebot couldn't help me with that. Oh well. And it said to me,
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
And I said, my name's not Dave. It's Mike. Mike's Daily Podcast. It's not Dave's Daily Podcast. Although I wonder if there is one. And I wonder if Haley, listening to this right now, is going to do a search for it. But you don't have to do that, Haley. Thanks just for listening, friend. Hey, you know what? I'd like to say something that Haley would probably agree with. Hillary should frickin' knock it off. And not knock Bernie. I know she did. Okay, look, a tell-all book. I get it. That's the book where you... First off, probably not the best idea if you want to be preserved in history in a good light that you wrote a tell-all book. It's... That's where, you're going to step on someone's feelings and people are going to get mad. And Bernie is definitely a figure that has a lot of supporters. And we know how it went with the election last year during the primaries. Lots of Bernie supporters. And Hillary has some things to say in her book about Bernie, blaming him for her loss. And I think it's probably not the right time for this book to come out blaming that. And Bernie, I really don't see why you should knock Bernie at this point. And I think a lot of people agree with me. And I think that's why the media picked this up. And it's this sort of the big theme right now. Why is Hillary at war with Bernie? What did Bernie ever do to her? Here's why I say this. Bernie went out of his way to really get behind her and promote her. He could have just said, oh, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm no longer a Democrat. I'm out. And taken all of his supporters with him. Instead, he said to his supporters over and over again, we can't let Trump become president. You've got to vote for Hillary. He said that so many times. How much more supportive could he have been? He had to run against her. There was no one else running against her. He had something to say, and people believed in what he said, and still do. That's my point. Okay, it took me a long time to get there, but... So, she should not knock him, and I think that's all I had to say. Oh, and what she had to say about Comey, that was interesting. That she blames him for her loss.
It makes me mildly nauseous.
Well, and the rest of that quote was that he had some kind of effect on the election. If he didn't think his actions had any effect on the election, that's just stupidity. That he of course, his actions are going to have an effect. Well, I'm just happy I'm taking a week off. These thoughts will ferment in my head a little bit more, and I'll have a lot to say, I'm sure, on the next podcast. But I'm happy to take a week off from my work, only in that there are some people that are annoying that'll be nice to get a break from. One guy is uber paranoid. One guy is grumpy all the time. There's a lady I work with who decided to lecture me and tell me something about, you should know that, it's Radio 101, what she was talking about, which is an insult to me because I've been in radio for over 30 years and she has not, so I don't know where she gets off. Anyway, Cafe Anyway, as you can see, it's time.
Anyway.
Don't you think it's time, as the judge said, to take a break? Have you had your break today? And... no. And then let's get to the segment called...
Life Grand.
I love that.
Some of this is grand, some of this is not so grand, and we start off with something not at all grand, and that is London police said today they were making urgent inquiries to track down who was responsible for an explosion at a metro station, which officers are treating as a terrorist incident. Oh my, I just had my own little incident just then. I had talked for about 10 minutes with all the news stories, and I didn't realize this wasn't recording. Wonderful. All right, so now I don't really have much time to go into all this news, this depressing news. I will just say, because you'll probably hear way more about this later on, that, let's see, there was on one of the trains, there was a white bucket with a supermarket freezer bag on the floor. The bucket was in flames, and there appeared to be wires coming out of the top. The picture's taken at the scene. Lots of people with burns. There was a stampede to escape. 22 people have been taken to London hospital. None were thought to be in serious condition. So this is still unfolding as you are probably listening to this, as it is 6:06 a.m. now. Trump has signed a resolution condemning white supremacists following violence at a rally in Charlottesville, Virginia last month. At this point, as I was recording last time, I was talking about Jack Pickney, which I don't know if I can play him right now. Let's see. Sounds like this.
The Republicans at the polls, the Republicans who provide the manpower and the votes.
That voice practically put me to sleep yesterday as I was driving home, I just have to say. Anywho, so he did this, as Americans, we condemn the recent violence. Trump said this in Charlottesville and oppose hatred, bigotry, and racism in all forms. This was a statement released by the White House. He also said, no matter the color of our skin or our ethnic heritage, we all live under the same laws. We all salute the same great flag, and we are all made by the same Almighty God. We are a nation founded on the truth that all of us are created equal. As one people, let us move forward to rediscover the bonds of love and loyalty that bring us together as humans. And don't forget that! It didn't say that at the end, but that's some stuff that you should... A bipartisan group, never forget, of senators had introduced the measure amid concerns about Trump's response to the violence, where he was like, yeah, you know, there were some bad people on both sides. Bad hombres. Meanwhile, Cassini... You know, I've been hearing a lot about the fantastic tech we have up in space. Cassini was launched back in 1997. Do you remember what you were doing in 1997? I'll tell you what I was doing. I was living with a girl named Julie in Ventura, California, a redhead, beautiful, beautiful girl who smelled like patchouli. Julie, who smelled like patchouli. We lived together for about 4 months, and that's when I realized I can't live with cats. We had 2 cats living in this tiny 500 square foot apartment, and yeah, it got bad. But so that's what I was doing in 97, and probably listening to Jewel and Lisa Loeb and all the other Lilith Fair singers, Alanis Morissette, and drinking a lot of coffee, and living in downtown Ventura. But that's when Cassini was launched. In 2004 is when it made it to... Was that when it made it to Saturn? I saw that somewhere in this article. 2004 was the year I got married. So not to Julie though. So it had some big years that corresponded with me. In some ways, I feel akin to Cassini. Anyway, it went in a big fiery crash as it entered the atmosphere of Saturn and burned up because it was in its final moments. Now, it had a ion and neutral mass spectrometer that sampled the composition and structure of the atmosphere, which is something it couldn't do while it was in orbit. So its last moments helped us out, sent us so much data, and this all happened early this morning. So it happened just a few hours ago, very recently. So that's a big part of what happened today on Mike's Daily Podcast, which we do daily, and that's right. 2004, it reached the Saturn system. That's what happened. And spent 13 years exploring the planets and its moons. Saturn's got that cool moon called Titan. That big mess up that happened, that Apple, when they were doing their big Apple D App Day, and I did a big tribute to Apple D App on the last show of Black Eyed Peas, but they had this embarrassing glitch where Craig, what's-his-face, was trying to unlock the device using the new Face ID feature on that $1,000 iPhone 10 phone. Well, he had to end up going to an old-fashioned passcode entry screen. What's old is new again. And they said... The spokesperson said people were handling the device for stage demo ahead of time and didn't realize the Face ID was trying to authenticate their face after failing a number of times because they weren't Craig. The iPhone did what was designed to do, which was to require his passcode. Face ID worked as it was designed to. So, yeah. And finally, Facebook, that doesn't have Face ID yet, even though they have face in their name, their chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, not in any way related to Adam Sandberg, went on a... I don't think she is. Haley will correct me on that. Went on a charm offensive in Germany, telling the country's powerful automakers that the world's biggest social network does not want to compete with them. We are the only company in Silicon Valley that is not building a car. She meant German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Sandberg was there, and she said that statement, and they are sponsoring a new mobility world at the Frankfurt show that brings together car makers, tech companies, and startups in areas such as autonomous driving and electric cars. Also interesting to note that this week Facebook on Wednesday said it would step up its monitoring of hate speech. Facebook tightened its rules on who can make money from advertising on its network to make it harder for providers of fake news and sensational headlines to cash in. They have added 3,000 content reviewers to nearly double the size of its existing team. Germany passed a law in June to introduce fines up to 50 million euros or $45 million for social networks if they fail to remove hateful postings promptly. Sandberg also announced that Facebook will join an urban mobility test project in Munich with car makers and startups. Instead, it will also sponsor a new university in Berlin focused on digital product development. And they got 30 million active users in Germany out of a population of about 80. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. I will miss you. I will miss you so much, my podcast listener friend. Even though I never hear from you. Even though you never call 336MM Daily or email me mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. Even though you never do that, I want to miss you. But I'll be back. That's the plan anyway, a week from this Monday. So see you on the, what day is that? The 25th. It'll be like Christmas in September. It'll actually be fall then. Fall will have started by then, so wake me up when September ends. So I will talk to you then. I'll have all kinds of stories from Florida about seeing my mom there and helping her clean up and enjoying a little vacation at the same time. It'll be a kind of a work vacation, so I can't wait to do that. I'm going to see a bunch of old friends, and I can't wait to talk to you, though, because you're my old friend, and thank you for listening. Next show, we got some old friends stopping by, including the wonderful Shelley Shuhart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. Please, take care.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!